Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and passionate advocates for a sustainable future, welcome to the Climate Conference, SustainXchange, Dialogues for a Resilient Planet. I am Zanisha from grade 6, and I welcome you today with all my heart. We shall commence this evening's proceedings with a harmonious overture presented by the talented GLS Middle School Choir. Our performance, titled Circle of Life, is more than a musical rendition. It is a symbolic journey encapsulating our collective dedication to the well-being of our planet. The circle of life not only symbolizes the cyclical nature of our world, but also serves as a potent reminder of our responsibility to preserve and protect it. So without further ado, let the enchanting voices of the GLS Middle School Choir guide us through this musical odyssey, setting the tone for an evening of reflection, inspiration, and renewed dedication to the planet we call home.
It's the sun. We will now have the recitation from the Holy Quran, followed by the Hadith.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. خلق الإنسان من علق. اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى. إن إلى ربك الرجعى. أرأيت الذي ينهى عبدا إذا صلى. أرأيت إن كان على الهدى أو أمر بالتقوى. أرأيت إن كذب وتولى. ألم يعلم بأن الله يرى. كلا لئن لم ينته لنسفعا بالناصية. ناصية كاذبة خاطئة. فليدع ناديه. سندع الزبانية. كلا لا تطعه واسجد واقترب.
أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: ما من مسلم يغرس غرسا أو يزرع زرعا فيأكل منه إنسان أو بهيمة إلا كان به الصدقة. As narrated by Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has stated, whoever plants trees or sows seeds and then a bird, animal or person eats from it, it is regarded as a charitable gift.
I request you all to please rise for the national anthem. Please be seated. We're just waiting for these mics to be cleared. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I am Nisha Mohsin. I extend a very warm welcome to each one of you to the GEMS Education Climate Conference. In the face of unprecedented environmental challenges, this conference aims to foster meaningful conversations, collaboration, and actionable steps that transcend boundaries and contribute to the creation of a very resilient planet. The theme, SustainXchange, encapsulates our commitment to not just sustain, but actively drive positive change in the way we interact with and preserve our environment.
In the pursuit of this noble goal, collaboration becomes paramount. It is through the collective efforts of leaders and educators that we can navigate the challenges of our times and foster an educational landscape that not only empowers young minds, but also equips them to contribute meaningfully to a sustainable and resilient future. To shed light on this theme, we invite Ms. Asha Alexander, Principal CEO of GEMS Legacy School and Executive Leader of Climate Change at GEMS Education, to share her insights and elaborate on what this signifies at a school level.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Climate Conference. It gives me great pleasure to welcome our keynote speaker, Angus Mackay, Director, UNITAR, our Italian delegation from the GEMS Hub Schools of Sustainability in Italy, members from UNDP, dignitaries from Dubai Police and Municipality, professors from the University of Bradford, senior members of GEMS Education, educationists, environmentalists, principals, parents, students and teachers from GEMS schools and others across the UAE. On behalf of our founder, Mr. Sunny Varki, and our CEO, Mr. Dino Varki, I welcome our guests to GEMS Legacy School. Please find a small token of our appreciation already placed in your seats this evening. COP28 is here. There will be much debate and heated discussion over the next few days as everyone looks forward to stronger resolutions and constructive action from world leaders. The UAE has firmly placed climate education at the heart of the strategy for change, and GEMS Education has aligned its vision with that of the Ministry of Education in the UAE. However, change is a process that takes time, and active engagement is sought from the entire population. We look to leaders expecting miracles, and after the furore of debates, there's often a resounding silence. It is not enough that our awareness around issues related to climate change has increased, but what is required now is for our entire community to become that change. Through our own practices and behaviors and attitudes, we must shape the world of the future. We can and we must. Our decisions about the choices we make regarding modes of transportation or the food we eat, where we live or the clothes we wear can hugely affect climate change. Let us not live in our insulated bubbles of privilege, assuming that climate change will not knock on our doors. It will. It will appear in different ways across the globe, and being aware and taking action to mitigate it is our only real chance to save the planet. Our planet has survived many catastrophic periods, and it will because it is resilient. But will all forms of life continue to exist in the self-same manner as it does now is the question. By placing young voices at the heart of this conversation, The United Arab Emirates has set in motion the wheels of change, and we need to grasp this opportunity with both hands and lead the way forward. When we surveyed our students aged 10 plus in all of our 44 GEMS education schools, we received a phenomenal response with more than 12,000 students responding to that survey. What stood out for me was the fact that students were largely optimistic, and a vast majority were aware of the effects of climate change and were participating in sustainability-related activities in all of our schools. I then looked at their message to leaders. Concisely put, it said, "Do better." And our leaders must do better by our future generation. But my question to our students is there something that we can do better instead of waiting for leaders to address this issue? We will be led as long as we choose not to lead. For in leading, we have to take the responsibility for change into our own hands. Your teachers, 5,500 of them, have become UNCC Learn certified teachers, making GEMS Education the very first educational organization in the world to have so many certified teachers. This has helped to ensure that their understanding of climate change is improved, and they are now equipped to embed climate literacy in all of our schools. This gives you a unique position of advantage to understand, learn, and apply that learning to become advocates of change, not just here in the United Arab Emirates, but across the world. Every educator knows deep within that the answer to all the problems that surround us must begin with education. Whether it was the eradication of smallpox or the collective action to overcome the pandemic, the world came together through education and awareness for all, enabling us to rise to the challenge. The answers to the problems of the past has always come down to education. So also with climate change. Our unwillingness, however, to act on what is a crying need makes our planet a diversivolent battleground, so in one which it appears that we continue to desire the strife we are putting ourselves through. It is a transient world, and in our lifetimes, we will each fulfill a role and then disappear. Do we and can we think beyond ourselves? What kind of legacy are we leaving? Will we leave one corner of the world, one student perhaps, or even an entire nation better than we found it? Standing up for sustainable practices and caring for the health of the planet and the people invariably results in naysayers trying to derail the mission. That happens with every cause anyone, anywhere will ever fight. There will be thousands whose only expertise it is to disagree with the action and declare that they are waiting to see the impact of the solution provided. Nonetheless, I choose to act, for I am one, and I believe in the power of one to make a difference for the betterment of the people and the planet. Let us all embrace the challenge and be that one person who will make the difference. Thank you all for your presence here this evening, and welcome once again to the Climate Conference.
Thank you, Mrs. Alexander. As we move ahead on this transformative journey together, let our discussions, collaboration, and shared insights serve as the foundation for a new era of education, one that champions sustainability, resilience, and the boundless potential of every learner.
One of the vital processes of incorporating climate literacy into all GEMS schools involved educators, students, and parents undertaking the 7 diverse UNCC Learn courses. To underscore the importance of this initiative and delve into the impactful narrative behind the UNCC Learn courses, we extend a warm invitation to Mr. Angus McKay, Director of the Division for Planet at UNITAR and Manager of the Climate Change Program. Mr. McKay serves as the Director of UNITAR's Division for Planet, overseeing the alignment of the Institute's environmental activities with Agenda 2030. His role emphasizes the strategic importance of skills development, providing a foundation for the effectiveness of national policies addressing environmental challenges such as climate change, chemicals and waste management, biodiversity conservation, and the transition to a circular economy. UNITAR, under Mr. McKay's leadership, conducts skills assessment to assist countries in understanding their learning needs. This process informs the development of national learning strategies that contribute to inclusive, safe, and environmentally sustainable development. As a climate change adaptation specialist and lead trainer, Mr. McKay brings a wealth of experience from his previous roles with international organizations, including the UN Department for Peacekeeping Operations, United Nations Development Programme, UK Department for International Development, World Bank, and private sector environmental consulting firms. Notably, Mr. McKay has recently been appointed to the board of the Multi-Donor Fund of the Climate Change Vulnerable Forum, further showcasing his commitment to global climate action and sustainable development. Please put your hands together as we welcome Mr. McKay to the podium.
Miss Asha Alexander, Madam Mayoress, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, students of the GEMS Legacy School. Well, the first thing is that photograph was taken quite a long time ago. I'm quite embarrassed now to be standing up in front of it. Now you can see the difference. We're trapped by technology, are we not? We have to learn, like you do, the young folks, you know how to use it. It really is truly wonderful to be here this evening. It's because I have heard and seen so much of what you've been doing here at the GEMS Legacy School, but also across your whole network in the UAE, but beyond that as well. Because Asha, you and I have been talking for what, 5 years? You know, your emails pop up in my inbox and I always open them first because it's always something nice, like please come and talk to us when you're at COP28. And you know, I'm only sorry it's taken me so long to get here, but it really is truly inspiring. You know what you've done and you've been doing under Asha's guidance and leadership over the last few years. And of course now the whole world has come to you, hasn't it, in COP28, and I'm sure you're making the most of it. So in a few years' time, inevitably, I'm going to be retiring. You know, the UN, you don't have the choice. They kick you out once you get to a certain age, quite right too. But it made me reflect a little bit about how my journey started. I did my master's in environmental science, University of Aberdeen in the north of Scotland, a petrol city, oil and gas city, as some of you will know. And just at that time, it was actually 1992, and at that time there was this thing going on called the Rio Conference, the first Rio Conference of 1992. So what's happened in this space of climate change since that Rio Conference? And remember that COP, or the UN Framework Climate Change UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, came into being at Rio. So it's, you know, 30 plus years ago. First thing that happened, I think, for me, is a rather positive message, and that's that the world has come alive to the issue of the climate crisis. We know an awful lot more about it than we did back then, in addition to which many of us, many more of us are engaged in understanding the topic, educating, talking to our families, friends, communities, and so on. So we do have a global climate change consciousness today that did not exist in 1992. And this shows you the power of the world coming together, the convening power of the UN system, but of the world coming together and noticing that there is a problem It's not going to be fixed by any one society or any one country or any one approach, but we've got to do this together. So that's a big achievement, it really is, of humanity. Secondly, not quite so good news, carbon emissions are still going up. And I was in an event this afternoon in which UNEP, which is our sort of normative institution that measures and continues to sort of tell us what's happening, what the big picture is, they're saying carbon emissions are still going up. The only thing that we can say that's positive is that the rate of increase in carbon emissions is slowing, all right? The rate of increase in carbon emissions is slowing, which means it's kind of curving off like that. But that's not really good enough because we're already seeing the impacts in all of our lives and across the world of this carbon crisis. Third thing that's happened, and this is again a positive, and I know that we were talking earlier, Asha, weren't we, about, it shouldn't be a problem to give difficult news to children, to schools. I mean, you need to provide the right context, but we shouldn't be hiding the reality from the young generation, what we call the climate generation. But the third thing that we've realized, I think, is that all of us must be involved in solving the issue. Now, that means all countries. If you cast your mind back to 1992 and the early time of the Climate Convention, the deal at that point was that there are certain countries that have contributed a lot to the climate crisis, and they should be responsible for fixing it. So you had about 20 or 30 OECD countries. They're the ones that are responsible. They've got to pay for it. What happened at Paris a few years ago in 2015, COP21, is that there was international recognition that, yes, we have that historical responsibility of certain countries, those that led the Industrial Revolution, but it's not as simple as that. Every country on Earth now agrees and has a commitment to change their ways. Even if the OECD countries stopped emitting carbon tomorrow, it wouldn't solve the crisis because those emissions are coming from all countries. So we recognize that all of us are involved. We also recognize that within a society, within a country, it's not just for the politicians to deal with the issues. It's not just for the scientists or the lawyers to deal with the issues. It's all of us. We all have that collective responsibility. And so this is where you have already come in. Through the work that you've been doing, you've been becoming a hub, if you like, for climate change literacy. And I've no doubt that beyond your school, that you have influenced many others in that journey. And that's why, that's my message. My message to you is to congratulate you for standing up collectively and making that difference. We had a youth climate dialogue in Geneva about 6 weeks ago. There were 6 schools from around the world, and your school was represented. I don't know if any of you who are on that dialogue, that Zoom dialogue, actually in the room, but it was very, very clear that this school has a very high quality of students who really understand the issues, and they understand the complexity, of the issues as well. It's not just about talking about, climate emissions and where it's coming from. It's understanding the trade-offs and the complexities of changing a process, an economy, and all of the difficulties that can entail, because there are going to be winners and losers. So you're in the business of change. We at UNITAR are in the business of change through climate action. What I thought I would do today is to tell you 3 stories of young people who are perhaps a little bit older than you, but young people who have done our courses and have then initiated some significant change in their lives or in the lives of those around them. And what I would like to do, I'd like to make it a little bit participatory. I'm not going to ask you to stand up or do anything embarrassing, don't worry. What I want you to do is I want you to listen to these 3 stories, and then I want you to vote on which one you think is the most interesting. It's not a competition, we're not looking for the best. But what I would like you to do, and if we have microphones later, is if you say vote for story 1, you stick your hand up and then you tell us all what you liked about that particular story, right? Is that a deal? Can we do that? Do we have microphones? Very good. All right, so let's start with the first one. Well, again, this is just to say that we run an annual campaign now, and we look for these climate champions. So what we do is we send out a message saying to our network of more than 1 million people around the world, that we say, what have you done with the knowledge that you've learned through UNCC Learn? And we're compiling this database. We've got nearly 1,000 stories, and we've selected, every year we select about 10 champions. So here's one of our first champions. It's a lady called, I think it's Karen, not Carol, but Karen Miranda. She's from Panama. So here's her story. If anyone has a glass of water that could bring it up, I might need it because I'm drying up a bit, but that would be appreciated. Okay, so I grew up in a small rural town in Panama called Santa Clarita, surrounded by nature. Over the course of my life, this started to change. There were not so many trees as before. Temperatures increased and rainfall became less predictable. Thank you so much. This led me to decide to study biology at university. And from there, I discovered the UNCC Learn training platform. I used to think that climate change was just about changes in temperature. But once I took the intro course on climate change, I realized how this affected everything else, and that it isn't just an environmental problem. This course marked a great change in my life. So how would I describe my life now? With a few friends, we set up the Young People Facing Climate Change Organization of Panama, where we delivered a statement on water and climate, calling on all government ministries to work in an interconnected way on the climate emergency. So they created an organization, they took the new knowledge and content and the confidence that they gained, and they made a policy influencing statement. So now we're a reference organization on climate change, working on education and citizen participation. During the COVID pandemic, we were able to influence the updating of the NDC, that's the National Climate Action Plan, and the Climate Change Law of Panama. These experiences have also led me to live a more sustainable life on a personal level and to share that knowledge that I have gained with others. And I don't see that ever changing, right? So that's Karen Miranda from Panama, who stood up during the COVID pandemic, and with her knowledge and the organization they established, was able to advocate to government. Second story from Somalia, if we can have there we are. Hassan from Somalia, very, very different context. Many people in Somalia probably don't have as much access to digital platforms or even electricity, and it may well be that they're accessing these courses at certain times of the day when there is electricity. So we do have a digital divide in all of this. I took my first climate change course on the UNCC Learn platform in 2017. Since then, I have taken 10 more courses. Unbelievable. This has changed my life completely. I am now an advocate for climate change and environmental protection. So what have I been doing in the past few years? I established the Somali Greenpeace organization, through which we have conducted field-based training on the importance of tree planting for climate mitigation. I've trained more than 1,000 youth on climate change and how it's impacting our society, with a particular focus on biodiversity and how this links to climate change, peace, and security. So if you know anything about the Horn of Africa, you know that peace and security and the links with environmental management and climate change are absolutely fundamental. We have even trained the police on security and environmental protection issues. I believe we have representatives of the UAE police here this evening, so maybe I should put Hassan in touch with you as well. And now I am a representative of several Africa youth and environment organizations, including the UNEP program for children and youth. The main thing for me now is that I have got such a clear direction in my life. That is a profound statement around the power of education that is meaningful and can result in change. It's that sense of direction that it can give you. Okay, Those are the first two. We've got one more. I think they're worth reading through. I mean, we've got hundreds of these stories. These are some of the best, but, you know, this can multiply and multiply and multiply and create change. So we have Axel Vera from Cameroon. Axel asks, what if by completing a UNCC Learn course, you could achieve a real change in your professional direction and career? That was her question. So she applied. I applied for a US-funded program called the Women's Initiative on Climate Change, WICA. And before entering the program, the organizers asked me to complete a UNCC Learn course. So this is the US government basically saying, if you want to benefit from a professional development program, you've got to do a UNCC Learn course. This is the one called Climate Change from Learning to Action. I completed it in a week and submitted my certificate. 2 months later, I was picked to join the program. And I did so well in that program that I was then given a fully funded scholarship with the Greenhouse Gas Management Institute in Washington, D.C., followed by a 3-month internship on GHG measurement. And I now work for a consulting bureau in Cameroon as assistant manager on a carbon project. It's my dream job. So anyone who asks the question, yeah, great, online learning and all that, but does it really lead to change, or how does it lead to change? Well, there are 3 stories, there are 3 answers to that question, and we do get asked that. We do get asked by our donor partners, quite rightly, you know, what's the real impact of the learning programs that you've put together? How is it changing the world? Well, that's how it's changing the world, and you're doing it here as well. Now, quick recap, are you ready to vote? Are you ready to stick your hands up for one of these 3 climate champions? So remember we've got Karen Miranda from Panama, who saw the temperature increasing around her and her environment changing, and she set up a young people organization, and she was able to influence climate law during the pandemic. That's number 1. So if you want to vote for number 1, let's have a vote. Who thought that was a great story? Did anyone pick that one? Can't really see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got a good handful of courageous people. Do we have a microphone? Would somebody like to say what they liked about that story? Here we are. Here's a hand. Please, let's hear from you. What did you like about the story of Karen Miranda from Panama?
Do I stand up? Okay. So as a student, I found that the way she started up a youth organization, it was really inspiring, and that's something, because she noticed that change occur, and that's something we as students do on a daily basis. We're always constantly reading the news and stuff, and we're looking at how the world around us is evolving. So her doing that as well was just something that I relate to, and I would like to also implement later on in the future.
Fantastic, and you know what? We can put you in direct touch with her if that is allowed through ASHA. We can actually put you in direct touch with Karen, and for absolutely, we know her quite well because she's one of our climate champions. So if you wanted to have that connection, I can commit to making that happen here and now. So talk to ASHA, and she'll talk to me. Fantastic, thank you for that. Now, how about Hassan? Remember Hassan from Somalia? He did 10 courses, changed his life. Somali Greenpeace organization, trained thousands of youth, and in a context of difficult peace and security, and even trained the police on some of these issues. So who's voting for Hassan? Any hands for Hassan? Asha's got her hand up. Let's have somebody who would be happy to tell us why you like that story.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I think all the 3 stories were really inspiring, but Hassan has made a special place. We are in a phase wherein everyone has to put in his part. So when we want to do something, we have to make a chain. So this man has made a chain of 1,000 youth, and he's adding up to it every day. So that means that he's really transforming environment around him, and in turn, he's transforming the world. So I think that's really, really inspiring.
Fantastic. No, thank you so much. I mean, obviously, anyone who's been to Somalia or parts of Ethiopia and Sudan at the moment, you know these are highly stressed environments. And what I love about it is the way that he found, because it's easy to be quite lost and not know what to do. And he said the main thing for me is having such a clear direction in my life. I think that's such a great statement. Okay, and let's not forget Axel from Cameroon. So this is somebody who essentially transformed their professional career, and they managed to get this incredible fully funded scholarship with the Greenhouse Gas Management Institute in Washington and a 3-month internship, which gave her all the skills and confidence to be able to then go and interview for a job as a consultant and nail that interview and get hired. So who's voting for Axel from Cameroon? Any hands? One at the back. 1 or 2. Who's brave enough to tell us why, or would like to tell us why they voted? I've got a hand up there. Let's hear from you. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. All 3 stories were very much inspiring, but this one as well stood out for me because Axel found this initiative by chance. And yet, even though she found it by chance or by accident, it really propelled her forward to create great change in the world and for herself. So I think this is a real testament to the fact that we all have a spark of ambition and a spark for change within us. And when we do find that change, when we are given such vast platforms like UNCC has done so beautifully, it can go a long way. So this is a really great story. Thank you so much. Yeah, you absolutely nailed it. You're absolutely right. I look back to my young years and I think of as a catalogue of examples I could pinpoint of opportunities in life that I'd missed, that I didn't take. And I think that story really is about recognizing that you have, a skill that gives you confidence and you can build on that. And I know, and I'm sure that you will have that through this school, which sounds like a fantastic place to be educated. So that's the end of my story, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, the fundamental point is that, good learning materials, good courses, good content do change mindsets. They do change the way that people behave, and ultimately they do lead to climate action. And we need it. We need it now more than any time. And you guys have been an absolute inspiration beyond this school, beyond this country, around the world. All of my team know about the GEMS network and the GEMS Legacy School, and we all know about Asha because we had a big picture of her in the middle of Geneva for about a week, celebrating what you've been doing. So thank you so much for inviting me, and I look forward to more of this in the future. Thank you so much.
Following Mr. McKay's insightful address, we now find ourselves enriched with the valuable perspectives on environmental activities, skills development, and sustainable development. His expertise and experience have undoubtedly contributed to a deeper understanding of the intersection between national policies, environmental challenges, and the crucial role of skills development in achieving Agenda 2030. As we reflect on his words, let us carry forward the inspiration and knowledge gained, fostering a collective commitment to inclusive, safe, and environmentally sustainable practices.
In this special edition, we are honored to hear expressions from the young minds who are the architects of tomorrow's world. Munir Mohammad Rashid Saad and Ishwi Lama Gurung from kindergarten, and Michelle Liz Dennis from grade 7 These articulate voices encapsulate the spirit of our theme today, emphasizing the pivotal role students play in shaping a sustainable and resilient future. Let us now lend our ears to the profound expressions of these inspiring young individuals.
Hello everyone, I'm Ishwi. I stand before today not just as a child, but as a representative of the future generation. Each one of us, no matter our age, plays a crucial role in shaping the world that awaits us. Let me introduce you to my friend Munir. Hello. Munir, how old are you? I am 6 years old. Munir, I wonder how old you'll be in 2030. I will be 13 years old. Munir, do you know, as per the scientists, in 2030, climate change can be irreversible. I wonder, when we grow up, we will still have a good earth to live on. It is frightening to even think about it. At school, we have learned the importance of keeping our environment clean, recycling, and being mindful not to waste or discard things. Our teachers teach us how to take care of the environment every single day, whether it is planting trees or turning waste into compost. However, I find it perplexing that grown-ups occasionally act in the opposite manner. If the adults don't step up and do their bit, the world that we are going to inherit is on the verge of dramatic and disastrous change. Absolutely. We want every GEMS ambassador to stand up for climate change. We want every school to talk about climate change. We want every teacher to discuss how to make our earth a better place. I can't agree more. Climate change will be a top priority. Yes, you are right, Munir. The world does not need saving, it needs us to change. Let us be the change we wish to see. The time to act is now, and the choice is ours.
It is, I promise, worse than you think. The perils of climate change are far-reaching. The swelling seas will grow, and the cities will drown. Indeed, without a significant adjustment to how billions of humans conduct their lives, parts of the earth will likely become close to uninhabitable, and other parts completely inhospitable by the end of this century. Confronting this global challenge is imperative, and evading the issue will not provide a solution. The pressing question is, how much longer will we delay action? How much longer will we avoid confronting this global issue? Is this the future you leave for us? Amidst these challenges, there's no room for despair. We harbor hope. We stand resolute, and fear will not dictate our path. Join me as we educate and engage the generations of today, fostering climate consciousness and resourcefulness. Let's unite, standing shoulder to shoulder, and together, let's build a sustainable legacy for the generations of tomorrow.
The heartfelt expressions from Munir Ishwi and Michelle resonate with the promise and potential embodied in our youth. Let these inspiring words serve as a powerful reminder that the future we envision is in the capable hands of these young trailblazers.
We present to you a visual journey, a celebration of collaborative efforts, showcasing the best practices that transcend borders and inspire positive change. The GEMS Global Ambassador Society is at the forefront, forging robust connections with global communities through collaborative student-led projects, working towards the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030 for global transformation. Represented by one student and one teacher ambassador from each participating GEMS school, the GEMS Global Ambassador Society is dedicated to leading the program, serving as role models who inspire, plan, design, and execute impactful projects aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. Our goal is to unite individuals who share our passion for sustainability. Through community awareness initiatives about the importance of these goals, we aspire to contribute to a more environmentally friendly world. This video provides a glimpse into an extensive efforts undertaken by the GGA in the realm of education for sustainable development, ESD, showcasing our commitment to lead change today, act with urgency, and pave the way for a sustainable tomorrow, and showcases the works done by GGA over the last couple of years. Glimpses in Motion is indeed a testament to the power of collaboration and exchange of best practices for a better tomorrow.
It is rare to find someone as passionate, informed, and articulate as our next speaker, Ms. Linda Cruz, a leadership expert, international frontline humanitarian, speaker, and author. Brings over 2 decades of experience living among people in some of the most distressed places on earth, from the snowy Himalayas to the deserts of the Sahara, and in the aftermath of natural disasters, Mrs. Cruz has worked with survivors in refugee camps and war zones, displaying incredible resilience. Often described as a mix between Gertrude Bell and Indiana Jones, Mrs. Cruz's achievements have earned her recognition as the 12th most powerful woman changing the world today. Mrs. Cruz is a network weaver, inspiring support from His Highness the Dalai Lama and His Royal Highness King Charles and Sir Richard Branson. She mobilizes their influence to address critical social, environmental, and humanitarian challenges globally. Mrs. Cruz's work serves as an inspiration, influencing individuals from various backgrounds to become a force for good, from presidents and ambassadors to students, politicians, admirals, and CEOs worldwide. We welcome Mrs. Cruz to share her insights on leadership in bloom, nurturing tomorrow's sustainability champions.
To save a life, I've drunk 3-day-old urine of an elderly grandmother. That's what a humanitarian does, and I've been a humanitarian, boots on the ground, for 25 years. I've had a gun at my head many times. I've been held hostage. I've had my face slashed open with glass and had to sew it up myself. But I love what I do so much that 20 years ago, I sold everything I own. And to this day, I only own the contents of one suitcase. Why do I do what I do? Well, I have to go back in time slightly, because I was a nurse in my first career, and then I went into the corporate world for money because I was a single mum. But there was one thing that I realized, that my heart, my soul, what I really wanted to do with my life was not being fulfilled. And it came to me in a very harsh way when I was driving from the north to south of England one day, and I went blind as I was driving. Sight gone totally. And that was my wake-up call to actually completely change my life. My children had left home, they were following their dreams, and I decided, right, now I must be of service to the world. I have worked on every continent. I have been at the front line of every big disaster you can think of in the last 25 years. Tsunami, earthquake, typhoon, many war zones, refugee camps. But when I started this work, I was a mature lady, and I was thinking, what can I bring to this field which is slightly different to what's been going on currently? So I was looking around and really wanted to find that gap. And I was very lucky, because at the time I was doing all this reflection, Prince Charles, now King Charles, came to visit me in a refugee camp just outside of Delhi for Tibetans. And I started to share who I wanted to work with 100%. I said, Your Royal Highness, there's 2 sectors of society that I feel are not being involved in solving our most critical issues. And that's the private sector and most importantly, students. And from that day, which was 20 years ago, King Charles has been a great supporter, mentor, and champion of mine. But I have stuck to what his words said, because he said the most important thing that you have is your intelligence, your innovation, and your empathy. He said, use that as much as possible. So when I was confronted with the Asian tsunami back in 2004, a long time ago, but the project started, I am one person, and I go in alone as a single person. So I want to build a tribe. And I was in the survivors camp of the Asian tsunami in Thailand. 5,000 Thai people lost everything. Loved ones, livelihoods, homes gone. And I'm like, who is going to help me to help them regain their independence, self-esteem, and dignity fast? I'm going to give this problem to students and to the business world. And goodness me, the innovation, the excitement, the determination to get involved in solving a real problem with real people that was going to have a real impact. So this is how I started the Race for Good. And in that situation, the winning team, because I make the Race for Good fast, fun, it's a competition, but it's real. And the winning team, they noticed that lining the coast where the wave hit still stood rubber trees. And that was a viable business for the next 10, 20 years. And what I love about this is we always give a very small budget because, you know, it's never about money. It's always about empathy, intelligence, and innovation. And with a budget of just $250, the first families started to harvest rubber. Within 3 months, they were earning 4 times what they ever earned in their previous jobs in the hotel industry. Solving problems using your incredible education, innovation, and intelligence has become my lifelong commitment. So here I stand, and I've been presenting it, COP28, because my global students with Race for Good have said to me, Linda, we want to really get involved. How can we be involved to help save the planet with global warming? I'm a humanitarian, I'm not a scientist. So my response was, I will get you to meet the people who are suffering the most because of climate change. So I went to live in the very north of Greenland. I went to Qaanaaq, which is the most isolated place I have ever been to, where the sea ice is melting, where their world is melting 4 times faster than anywhere else. And I looked at how they lived, the hunters. I looked at how they survived. And then I said to the amazing community, will you now talk to my students from Hawaii, the Philippines, India, China, Abu Dhabi, Dubai? And they said, yes, we want to meet them. We want to speak to them. We want to share our story. So this is what I've been doing, a polar race for good, where students from all over the world get to dialogue straight to families, teachers, hunters. They're given real problems to solve. And the model I use is that when there's a winning team, their solution is implemented within 2 days. Students age 10, age 5, age 18 are leaving a legacy immediately. I then was challenged, I love a challenge, by my students to find young people in Antarctica. And I said, well, I don't think there are any. And then I found the one school. There is one school in Antarctica. It's run by the Argentinians. It's the Esperanza base. And guess what? The Race for Good students are talking to the youth in Antarctica and understanding what's happening in that very fragile part of the world. And then my dream came true. For the first time ever, I connected students from the most northern school in the world to the most southern school in the world. They'd never spoken before. And they united with the polar opposites. But the first conversation was, well, what do you have for breakfast, to the Arctic students? And they said, well, we have the stomach of a walrus. And when they asked the Antarctic kids, it was, well, we have cornflakes. Exactly the same temperatures, incredibly difficult situation. But my big thing is that they should be the voice. It's the young people living in these very fragile areas that should be talking about it and inspiring us. I would love now just to play a very short video, which has been shot in Qaanaaq in the very north of Greenland, to introduce to you the wisdom of what these people are saying. Could you play my video, please? Thank you.
Humans are one in this world. We came from the same tribe. People went out to travel. They just adapted to their places, to the environment. We are one people. If we can just unite and help each other, we can make a better world. I am very thankful for Linda. She is trying to make a better connection to the students, to connect to each other, to see that we are one. We can help each other and make better opportunities for countries that maybe are falling behind. It's incredible that Linda is trying to make that happen, and I hope she can achieve it in this lifetime.
I really believe that education, like you've all said and know very well, many of you here are educators, when we understand, we start to care. And when we start to care, we start to take action. And what I've noticed that all of my students globally, when they go to recycle something or plant a tree or do one of these great things, the small change with the big impact, they remember their friends from the Arctic and the Antarctic. There is a real face that they see every time they take that small action. And they know that if they take that action, they can continue to live how they wish to live. So what I want to say to you just to conclude is, you know, we come with nothing and we go with nothing. At the end of the day, all we have is our story. So don't look for heroes, be one. Really great to meet you all today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Linda. Engaging with your narrative takes us on a journey through frontline adventures and misadventures. it serves as a compelling wake-up call, inspiring us to strive for our best, cultivate innovative concepts, explore fresh ideas, and uncover our own purpose and passion in life. We are honored and grateful to present our friends and sustainability partners in the segment, Italian Hub Schools of Sustainability, a beacon of excellence. The panel comprises of Ms. Silvia Gasparetto, coordinator of the exchange project at Istituto Comprensivo di Cappella Maggiore, Mr. Luca Dal Paus, referee of the Istituto Comprensivo di Cappella Maggiore, Ms. Maria Rosa Baraza, mayor of Cappella Maggiore, Ms. Tiziana Gottardi, vice president of Consorzio Pro Loco Prialpi, and Ms. Kelly Gallon, the Italian representative of the GEMS Global Ambassadors Program. Together, they bring a wealth of experience showcasing how these schools have emerged as exemplary models, championing sustainability with unparalleled excellence. Please put your hands together for the Italian delegation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have the great pleasure to tell you our experience, thanks to the inspiration of the work of Madam Asha Alexander. After listening to her at COP25, it was clear to me that I was standing in front of a leader with a big dream to create an international network of schools that can create shared practice, best practice on sustainability. I could sense its beauty, its power, and I want to be a part of it. To her request, I didn't know the exact date. I simply replied, yes, I will do my best to open up opportunity in Italy. Today, I'm so happy to share and honored to share with you what we have realized with teachers in Italy and institution, municipality. This is a beautiful story. When Madam Asha decided to come in Italy in 2022, as you see, she met a lot of students. She decided to plant olive tree for school. Another one. She decided to dialogue with 300 students. She shared their experience with parents, teachers, to encourage us to take action. We have embraced her vision. You can see the photo. We were very happy and honored and inspired by her. We have realized also a public presentation in Italy because we want to involve also the parents in that. The next one, please. Okay, right now, I just want to show the impact that we can have in our environment, in our society. I am just a person. And as you see, after our visit in Italy, the school decided to organize 18 projects involving 900 students, 120 teachers. This process is named Young Ambassador of Sustainability. From kindergarten to secondary school, in a year, each class developed a project relative to environmental sustainability. you can see some photo that the project that we have realized. Another one, please. It's a journey. So on March, the students started to share their experience in a public event. Some young ambassadors were invited to the assembly of the Nectar of a Sustainable Municipality in Rome, and in front of 150 mayors, they present the project, getting a special mention. We are very proud of them. Next one, please. Okay, another little step. After that, we decided to organize, to celebrate for the first time in our area. We are in the north of Italy, and we represent small municipality. And for us, it's a big, success to have the opportunity to collaborate with Tommaso Fodillo, the professor of ecology of the Padua University. As you can see the impact of this event. On November, another little step in Italy, and the municipality of Puglia, di Liceto, another beautiful city in Italy, contact us to create an exchange of ecological good practice. On November, we won a competition with the Young Ambassador Project, organized by one of the most important retailers in Italy, that consisted to reward the most valuable local project. So today we are very honored to be here. Asha Alexander invited us to come, and we really thank the opportunity, and we also would like to thank the Italian municipality that support us to come here, and especially the sponsor, Banca Prealpi San Biagio, Savno, and the Italian Association of Dubai, which we really want to thank them for their valuable support. We share with you the thought that guide us. Listen to the voice of young people is not an option. It's the only thing we can do if we truly care about the future of the planet. So I would like to thank you, all of you, because for me it's a dream become true, and each person can change their life. And for me it's, Asha Alexander, you changed mine. Thank you so much. And right now I'd like to introduce to you the teachers that helped me to realize my dream, Silvia Gasparetto and Luca Dalpaus, and also, come please, and also, just because for us it's important to listen to young people, we have involved the Italian Association of Dubai, and with us there is also Filippo Fumagalli. He's an Italian guy that he will translate from Italian to English.
Salve a tutti. Noi parliamo a nome di tutti i nostri colleghi perché questo progetto ci ha veramente unito e ci ha permesso di creare una collaborazione meravigliosa e quindi ci sentiamo di rappresentarli tutti.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I first of all want to thank you all and want to thank the teacher and all the schools that allowed us to come here and speak to all of you, because we united, because we represent everyone back home and are united as one community.
Ora vedrete un video che racconta tutti i progetti che avete visto, che Katy vi ha prima illustrato. E in questo lavoro la cosa che più ci ha colpito è il fatto che le idee dei ragazzi sono diventate azioni. Quindi abbiamo fatto un passaggio tra pensiero e l'azione attraverso i progetti.
Now you will see a video showcasing all the 80 projects that has been previously mentioned. What really surprised us and enlightened us about the project is that the ideas of the students were able to become action thanks to these programs.
E quello che in qualche maniera noi abbiamo portato avanti con questi due progetti sono il valore dei progetti stessi, cioè la sostenibilità e la cura delle persone, delle relazioni, del territorio e più in grande di tutto il pianeta.
What we're really proud to bring with our project are the values that they bring with themselves. The first one is the value of care and the care that we need to take for the environment and our planet. And the second one is the value of cooperation, which is what allowed us to make this real.
La cura è stata l'elemento principale perché curando le singole idee, le singole potenzialità di ogni ragazzo, di ogni insegnante e del territorio vengono valorizzate, messe in pratica e fanno fiorire le persone e i progetti.
CARE was a big part of this project as a team because it allowed us to develop the individuality of our students, teachers, and communities, and creating something that had a real change and which bloomed just like a flower.
E ora vi facciamo vedere il video. Per me è stato bellissimo poter coordinare questo progetto, lavorare con Katie, lavorare con tutti i colleghi e sono molto orgogliosa di essere qui in questo momento.
Now you will see this video, which is the final product of the whole project, which was possible thanks to Katie and all of our helpers here and in Italy. Enjoy.
Termino, il video è stato fatto da un videomaker sordo che abbiamo voluto chiamare perché è molto bravo e ci piaceva moltissimo l'idea di includere un altro linguaggio, che è una lingua, quello dei segni, e che i ragazzi potessero vedere con i loro occhi che questo regista ha lavorato con loro in maniera eccellente e li ha arricchiti con la sua lingua.
Also, I think it's important to mention that the video that you will see was made by a deaf video maker. This allowed him to teach the students, which you will see in the video, the Italian sign language, which is something that enriched them and opened their minds.
E volevo dirvi che Dubai nella lingua dei segni si dice così.
And we wanted to tell you that Dubai in our national sign language is this.
cercando di dare vita a un progetto che si chiamerà Autostrada delle Acque.
Un territorio interessante. Tra i tanti prodotti, l'olivo ricopre un ruolo fondamentale. Incuriositi da questa straordinaria pianta, avviando intrapresa un viaggio alla scoperta della sua salvaguardia e di tutti i suoi importantissimi frutti.
Perché solo conoscendo la natura si può imparare a difendere e proteggere la biodiversità.
Insieme ai carabinieri forestali abbiamo piantato diversi alberi di specie autoctone per contribuire a creare un bosco diffuso in tutta Italia.
Noi siamo gli alberi campestri, abbiamo le foglie fresche, possiamo diventare molto alti. Il nostro nome è Leccio. Siamo alberi sempre verdi, abbiamo le foglie grandi, viviamo a lungo. Noi ci chiamiamo quercia, abbiamo una chioma imponente e produciamo le piante.
La Terra è solo una, non abbiamo un pianeta B.
Allora, io ho più di 50 anni oramai e nella
nella mia vita ho imparato una cosa. C'è un'equazione che regola, la convivenza tra ognuno di noi, che è data dall'ascolto più la gentilezza, che corrisponde poi alla dignità della persona.
Per me è sorridere.
Volersi bene.
Rispetto. Per me è rendere felici le persone.
Per me è abbracciarsi.
Per me è la voglia di aiutare gli altri.
This hill is next to our school, so someone must be making a dam. We want to do our part for a cleaner world. We want to invite the others to respect the environment.
Che lo dice l'UFO con due teste, cosa va nel sacco celeste? Il sacchetto delle patatine, assieme a tappi e lattine.
Siamo a Fregona, un paese situato nella zona pedemontana della provincia di Treviso. Lassù c'è uno dei nostri posti del cuore. Un posto dove respirare, un polmone naturale, una foresta per grandi e bambini. È la foresta del Cansiglio. Lassù c'è la nostra foresta, una foresta da amare, rispettare e proteggere. Ora tocca a me! Ora tocca a me! Ora tocca a me!
Spero il nostro saluto dall'Italia vi sia piaciuto. Quello appunto che volevamo trasmettervi è che per noi è stato fondamentale collaborare con i nostri ragazzi, tra noi insegnanti e con le famiglie, con uno scopo comune che per questo progetto era la sostenibilità ambientale.
I hope that you enjoyed our greetings from Italy, and I'm here to share with you what is our main idea when it comes to teaching. We believe that teaching is all about the connection created between students, teachers and their families in the hope to create a united community that can go forward to face the issues of the modern days, such as sustainability and climate change.
Noi crediamo che lo scopo degli insegnanti per il nostro pianeta non è solo quello di piantare alberi, ma bensì quello di piantare semi e piantarli con i nostri alunni e con i nostri studenti.
We believe that metaphorically the duty of teachers is not to plant trees that are already strong, but to spread seeds in the minds of our students for a better future.
And questi semi non sono reali, ma rappresentano i valori che la scuola vuole trasmettere alle generazioni future. Valori che secondo noi sono il rispetto delle diverse culture, il rispetto delle idee e dei diritti umani ed infine, ma il più importante di tutti, il rispetto della nostra casa comune, cioè il pianeta Terra.
These seeds represent the values that schools and teachers should give to their students. These values being respect, most of all, but towards other people's culture, other people's ideas, and finally, but most importantly, toward the environment, because we only have one planet and we must respect it for the better of the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to invite here close to me Tiziana Gottardi, is the Vice President of Consorzio Proloco Prelati and the president of Proloco of Collo Umberto.
Hi, good evening to everyone. So behind me, there's a short video introducing you on our country. So, for me, it's a pleasure and emotion to be here. As a consortium, we have enthusiastically welcomed the opportunity to accompany the school, the administration, and the Italian representative to this fundamental appointment. The Consortium Proloco Peralpi, the association that I represent, is made of people who operate at their free will with the task of carrying out activities to enhance and promote the naturalistic, cultural, historical, and social realities of the territory. Local people love it, and they decide to protect it for future generations. These people are the core of the association, the soul of the territory. In Italy, volunteering is a widespread activity whose tradition goes a long way back on time and makes in the Northeast, my land, one of the areas of the country richest in social capital. A virtuous example born out of the collaborative work between Proloco and multiple entities is the development of the Thematic Educational Parks project, which encompasses 5 educational parks located over a vast area set in a context rich in nature, in beauty and history, where can be enjoyed exciting emotions. Guided tours and spaces for selected workshops are dedicated to our school that in this place can develop many educational projects which had already been carried out in their classrooms during the school year. To give space to children, we created also the Little Guides project, where they voluntarily made themselves protagonists by accompanying visitors to the places which cherish and by becoming their promoters and users. It is only by showing young people how to take care of their host territory that we can instill in them the good practices necessary for all this to be maintained so that it may thrive. We believe that the best way to reach this goal is a priceless collaboration between institutions, entities, and people, and a reliable and fruitful sharing of purpose. So we, the Consortium of Proloco, had the honor and the privilege of giving space and voice to the land and people through their stories and heritage. So we must protect and take care this precious gift. Thank you very much. Thank you.
As you saw, we have involved a lot of people, and right now I'd like to introduce to you Maria Rosa Barazza is a mayor of Cappella Maggiore.
Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here today. The project Young Ambassadors of Sustainability involves the municipalities of Cappella Maggiore, Collo Umberto, Fregona, Sarmede, and cultural associations. For us, measures, working with these young students is a big bet on the future we are willing to take. Through concrete action, the children commit to the betterment of their living environment, and they ensure the creation of a common ground around these issues together with their teachers, families, associations, and local institutions. Partnership is the main topic we wish to bring here. We need to be aware that cooperation is fundamental in these complex times. Our local institutions are committed to the topics on the 2030 agenda. Let me introduce some examples. The Children's Municipal Council is a project directed to the students of our middle schools. The Council is a living organism that teaches the students democratic participation and practice. It has multiple purposes, like introducing them to the works of their local institutions and becoming an active part of their community. They directly contribute to the adults' ability to welcome and listen to the youth. Our municipalities are deeply committed to the matter of recycling and reduction of waste, both of which mark the transition to a circular economy. On both these matters, we stand at the top in Italy. We also take many actions in the social sphere that consists in the creation of inclusive aggregative spaces in which people that stem from poor educational conditions can join. They strive to eliminate gender differences and gender-based violence, especially on women. Finally, the creation of partnerships with other countries around the world. Well, in conclusion, it's not enough to say to the leader what they have to do better for us and for next generation. We all need to do our part, starting from ourselves. We are doing it.
Grazie. Thank you to the Italian delegation for generously sharing their practices and perspectives with us.
We will now navigate dynamic and crucial discussions on climate resilience, sustainable practices, and the mutual responsibility that we all bear on the well-being of our planet. Our esteemed speakers, thought leaders, and experts will share insights, innovative approaches, and strategies to address the pressing issues at the intersection of climate, economy, and society. As we embark on this collective journey, let us all engage in open and constructive dialogues, forging connections that transcend borders, disciplines, and perspectives. Together, let's lay the groundwork for actionable steps, fostering a resilient and sustainable future for generations to come. I invite our distinguished panelists, Angus McKay, Linda Cruz, and Toby Gregory, along with our moderator, Mrs. Asha Alexander.
Welcome all to this panel. We've heard a lot from several speakers, and so we just thought we would share some questions with all three of you. So I will pass the question one after the other, and then maybe invite some reflections from the audience if they have something to add to it, so it can be participative. So this one Angus, is about climate resilience and adaptation. In what way can the content of education contribute to building more sustainable and resilient societies? How can education systems tailor their approaches to reflect and address the unique climate challenges faced by local communities?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pausing because it's an enormous question, and I'm thinking, how do I break this down into something that is coherent? I guess what I would start by saying is that one of my first jobs in the UN system some years ago on climate change was to work on adaptation and resilience, and our role at the time was to try to mobilize finance from global funds like the Global Environment Facility on behalf of countries. And that allowed us to travel to quite a number of interesting places, but also places that were under significant stress. And when you go to, I'm thinking of places in northern parts of Laos, where I worked quite a bit in Cambodia as well. And when you go to these places, you've been to these places and even more extreme than that, the first thing you think about isn't necessarily education. You think about the fact that because of increased and intensive rainfall, there's a landslide that has isolated a village or several villages from access to services, education, primary health care, and so on. And you think, well, we need to find ways to make sure that we can keep the roads open, right? That's what comes into your mind. Into your mind comes the practical elements. But as you think more deeply, you realize that that isn't going to solve the problem. It's going to come back. It's going to repeat itself. And I think that's at that point you start to look for more long-term ways in which to support a community that is going through stress, and that's where the foundational education and the more applied elements come in, and that's when you start to build, I think, really useful, sustainable programs.
I couldn't agree more. I had visited Malawi shortly after, the place was devastated by a cyclone, and all the roads were cut off to the school. But what amazed me was that students still turned up, and so did the teachers. And it was heartening to see the work going on in those places, even when they had very little. They were deprived of food, they did not have water, they did not have access to their schools. Some schools had their roofs blown off, but still students turned up. So I think it has to go hand in hand. While we agree that there are countries where this kind of devastation would turn the focus onto health and food and other necessities, there are people there who understand the importance of education going side by side with that. So what do you have to say, Linda? You've traveled right up to the poles.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel that, the role of teachers, educators is enormous and immense. And what I've found in the most extreme places to start with, in the poles, or I've looked a lot because my students have been studying 3 poles. Did you know there was 3 poles? I didn't. But I just automatically, it was the North Pole, the South Pole. But the Himalayas is actually the 3rd pole, where 30% of the water is held. And that really got me thinking about climate change and poverty, and how the teachers and educators actually manage there, because they are under stress all the time. And so, again, what I do is I take my students via Zoom, sometimes in person, but to actually connect with these incredibly resilient people who often don't get any help very easily because they're so remote. But the dedication of the educators is always there, and the students never miss a day. And I feel that we learn so much from them: appreciation, gratitude. Many of them don't have electricity, running water, or a bed, but they still go to school. They don't have any computers, but that teacher has the knowledge and information. And then I get them to become part of my human library. Because connecting students from all around the world, privileged ones like we are here, and less privileged, We've all got such amazing things to share and inspire each other to do. And that makes you feel you are so connected, you will make a difference, however small, to make sure your fellow human being stays safe, well educated, and part of this planet.
Yes, Toby, you want
just
to add to that?
Just to add to the good points already been made, when you look at the question about the content of education to contribute, what we've just talked about with Zoom is such an underrated tool. We've done some work where we partnered schools here, they've connected with schools in Kenya, because climate change means different things to different people. As we saw with the chap from Somalia earlier, perhaps climate change isn't top of their agenda right now, it's other things, it's practically living. So how does climate change impact these different people? If you make it exciting, if you make it interesting, then it has a huge contribution. And the content's critical because it's how that message is delivered. And if you deliver a message in an interesting way, then somebody's going to remember it. It's going to stay with them. So do it in an interesting way, but also tailor it accordingly. And the work we've done on Zoom with Kenya in different parts of the world, I found has had one of the most greatest effects, because you've got kids talking to kids, and then they're understanding on a common language how they're being impacted and the changes that they're experiencing and what they're seeing. And so from that point of view, education is obviously the foundation of everything, but making sure the content is interesting is key.
I think collaboration is the way forward, which is what we've discovered through our hub schools of sustainability in Italy, in Malawi, in Indonesia, now in Kazakhstan, in Japan. And we find that children not only learn about the climate-related context, but they also look into the culture of the place and learn about the particular difficulties that each country faces. And there's so much learning happening. So Zoom is indeed opening up. I love the one in Somalia too, only because I said it's such a difficult place, but he still did 10 courses in a place where he's pretty challenged for technology and accessing the courses, but he has the drive, and I think that's what stood out for me in that story. So I will come back to you because we are looking at innovation. How can innovation and technology be effectively utilized to forge impactful solutions in the development of climate-resilient education systems? And in what ways do these solutions consider the intricate connection between environmental, economic, and social factors? If you can draw from your experience.
Yeah, again, technology nowadays has a huge role to play across absolutely everything. And if I may just plug UNCC Learn here, from a learning perspective, obviously we're here at a school and we're looking at a particular age group. But I think across demographics, across age groups, I give talks to schools all the time. I give talks to companies, government ministries, and there is, in some ways, at times, a lack of understanding on certain things, and also people are embarrassed. They don't want to ask questions that they think they should know the answers for. And so tools like UNCC Learn and other things are just a wonderful thing, because it's almost like an authoritative resource that you can promote, you can pitch to people of any level. For students, they think, wow, look at this is great, this is the United Nations. For other people, they think it's an authority and it's information I can trust. So that, the role of technology is critical within that.
I have to agree, because when we introduced the UNCC courses 5 years ago, we thought this was something for educators, for teachers. But then, since then, I've had thousands of students in my school and in GEMS education attempt these courses. It has had two effects. One is they learnt about climate literacy, and then I found that they were actually accessing challenging texts, which I thought was for adults, but children were doing it with far greater ease because of their interest levels in these courses. So I think technology and innovation through courses like this is helping people all over. Particularly the UNCC courses are curated so well, so many case studies, and it's given us a wealth of information. We prescribe 6 courses each for our teachers, and I think there's a world out there for them to discover, so I do agree with that.
And if I can just add, I think, do you still offer certificates for some of them? And
absolutely, and we're going digital as well. So digital certificates travel further in cyberspace, I'm told.
So not only do they learn, but they get a qualification of sorts, or an acknowledgement. And again, students of all ages you know, that means something to them. So, you know, I think that's hugely commendable.
Would you like to add something, Angus?
Yeah, well, first to say that, yeah, we are actually now working on a series of courses that are more specifically focused on schools, but, you know, that's of school age, secondary school age, so that's a good thing. I think the issue of innovation, creativity and technology is fundamental, but it's not the answer, it's part of the answer. And I think it's important that we also recognize that, you know, technology can't solve all of our problems, right? So that requires, you know, changes in behavior as well. So, you know, it's a combination of the two. But there's no question that our impact as a training entity in the UN system would be much diminished if we were still trying to do it face-to-face as we were, you know, 20 years ago. There's no way that we could achieve this level of it. I wouldn't be here on this platform having this conversation without technologies.
But just as you said, it's not just technology. I think empathy is another key factor that should be driving change forward, because if you cannot empathize with the environment, there's going to be very little change in human behavior as well. So I wanted to ask a question to you, Linda. What factors contribute to the controversy or stalemate surrounding the discourse on climate change and education for sustainable development in certain regions or communities across the globe? And how can these challenges be addressed?
You know, I have realized over my many years of being a humanitarian is that emotion drives outcome. Enabling any of us to feel something. What is that great quote by Maya Angelou? People will forget what you say. They will forget what you do. They will never forget how you make them feel. So empathy, understanding, that closeness is actually what I've found really sparks long-term interest in really making sustainable change. They've got to feel it deeply. And that's why I'm an aid worker, so I have a lot of people around the world that need help. So I will give a real family to a student group and say, look at this, mother, father, children, completely destroyed by the last landslide that happened due to climate change. What are we going to do to actually help them? So it's the excitement, and as you said, it's like the delivery. So if they can actually change someone's life, and it's literally within 6 weeks, and if they're winner, it's implemented, the children feel so empowered, and then it drives them just to do more and more and more. As you said at the very beginning of this conference, it's the power of one. But I feel that it's this. We've got to feel it deeply.
Yes, I have seen the difference in schools across the world. We've been working with several countries, and Italy is one country where I have seen a significant difference in this past year. It's because the leadership feel the necessity to make the change. We're working simultaneously with schools all around the world, but in some schools we see a rapid progress owing to the fact of the interest level that you're saying. The leaders and the people who are leading the organization actually feel the need for change. What do you have to say to that, Toby? Is there?
I agree wholeheartedly, you know, in terms of emotion and other things. I'll talk about what my challenge was later, but, you know, you use the word discourse, stalemate. You know, I've seen that this week at COP. You know, this is the most enjoyable event I've been to so far, because it's, you know, there's lots of opinions and perhaps not enough action. Obviously that's going to come. But I think for me, when you look at discourse, information and stalemate, that's to do with people's understanding. You rightly said about empathy earlier, and there's at the moment a lot of people with something to say, but very little to listen or learn. And I think as a week moves forward and the fatigue creeps in, they may reduce their barriers slightly and open their ears to what's being said. But I think this is where the role that, you know, somebody like yourself plays is so critical in terms of the information that you're sharing with the students. I've been lucky enough to be to your school, talk to the students. They're so well informed. And so actually the word stalemate, the discourse, they're just above everybody else already because of the education, the information you've shared. And it just makes everything so much easier. They're willing to listen, they're willing to learn, but their knowledge is already there. And so with discourse and stalemate, I think doing things like you're doing already will change that.
Angus, would you want to add something to that?
I would say that all sorts of different ways of working and all sorts of different skills are needed for this, right? I mean, I think empathy is incredibly important in this space. In other areas of important intervention in climate change, you simply need very good science, for example, or you simply need an ability to bring together policymakers, or you simply need, so there are so many different skills areas to deal with this problem because it's a systemic one. So I deal with, a lot of very sort of esoteric, difficult, sort of technical problems. And their empathy is always important, and we need to be decent human beings. But actually, the real thing here is how do we understand the complexity of this problem? What tools do we have, and how can we figure out, a solution? So I would say empathy is one of a very large set of soft skills and transferable skills or ways of working to address this crisis. It's never going to be one thing. You're going to hear that. You're going to hear me saying the same thing every time.
I agree with it completely, but I think it rests on the bedrock of education. That's why we're having this conference, because I think without education, raising awareness, and without having teachers and students engaging in this, I don't think the change will happen as quickly as we want it to. So if you have empathy, you have collaboration, you have innovation and technology, but it's rooted in education. So it is bearing on all the educators and students and principals seated in this room to become that change. Because with education, anything is possible. In fact, everything is possible with education. So all the problems that arise, I think GEMS Education has taken a huge step in upskilling its teachers, in making sure that students learn about climate literacy and are being the change that we want to see in the world. So thank you, Angus, Linda, and Toby, for sharing with us. We're delighted to have you with us this evening.
Thank you for joining us in this pivotal conversation. May our deliberations lead to transformative initiatives and inspire a wave of positive change across the world.
We are privileged to have Mr. Toby Gregory, the founder of the Plastic Pledge, founder and project director of the Arabian Ocean Rowing Team, and a seasoned communications and strategy consultant, to deliver our closing remarks. Over the years, Mr. Toby Gregory, a British national based in the UAE, has embraced awe-inspiring adventures and encountered remarkable challenges. Whether traversing by foot, boat, or bicycle, his life has been dedicated to exploring the world and championing environmental causes. Notable achievements include running the 82-kilometer-long stage in Marathon des Sables, enduring the toughest foot race on Earth, and engaging in activities like traversing glaciers and swimming with icebergs near the Arctic Circle. In January, Mr. Toby accomplished a 42-day, 5,000-kilometer journey across the Atlantic Ocean, a venture conducted in partnership with the UN Environment Programme's Clean Seas Initiative. Beyond his explorations, Mr. Toby serves as a crisis communications consultant and trusted advisor to royal families, government ministers, educational institutions, and humanitarian organizations, including UN entities. His expertise spans regions across the Middle East, Europe, North America, Africa, Australia, and China. In this final segment, titled Impacting Tomorrow, the Ripple Effect of Climate Conference Initiatives, Mr. Gregory will guide us through reflections on the initiatives discussed during this conference and the profound ripple effect they can have on shaping a sustainable future. Let us lend our ears to Mr. Toby Gregory as he eloquently concludes our climate conference with insights that resonate beyond today, influencing the tomorrows we aim to create.
So, Linda said earlier, when we understand, we start to care. And I passionately believe that the work they do here at GEMS Legacy School, but I've been lucky enough to go to a number of GEMS schools, you know, to help with that understanding is exceptional, and the work you do on that is exceptional. Linda also said, don't look for a hero, be one. And I think what you find littered across the whole of the GEMS network, but especially here at GEMS Legacy School, is heroes, typically in the form of the teachers, the support staff you have. I know it's very easy to say that standing up here. I did say it on the radio the other day too. Because I've been lucky, I go to all these schools, I see what they're doing towards climate change, towards educating, you know, our future, our students. And, you know, what you do is simply exceptional. So when I was asked to give closing remarks or perhaps give a presentation, I'd normally stand here and talk about giving up a job I had which was excellent, to row across the Atlantic Ocean, to raise awareness about climate change. But instead, having worked with your team for a while, I wanted to try something different. And that was really to build upon what you've built and to share your story, not mine. So I've been scribbling away while everyone's taking notes. I wanted it to be an accurate reflection of what was said, not my words, but hopefully yours. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and future guardians of our planet, as we draw the curtains on this enlightening evening, I'm filled with a profound sense of optimism and inspiration. The conversations we've shared today have not only underscored the urgency of our collective action, but have also illuminated the limitless potential we hold to shape a more resilient and sustainable future. In the face of climate challenges, each of us plays a key role in the grand tapestry of change. Our discussions on climate resilience and adaptation has emphasized the pivotal role of education. Let us not forget that education is not just about what we learn in the classroom. It is about how we apply that knowledge and transform our communities in the real world. The call for harnessing innovation has resonated loudly through all those who have taken to the stage this evening. Innovation, as I see it, is a bridge between aspiration and realization. Our ability to leverage technology has come up, and the interconnected approaches we each have is key to forging impactful solutions. The anecdotes and case studies we've shared today serve, in my opinion, as beacons of hope, reminding us that transformative change is not only possible, but already firmly underway. Yet, let us also acknowledge that the path ahead is not without its challenges. The strong, sometimes heated debates we have witnessed this week are not roadblocks, but rather invitations to engage in deeper, more meaningful conversations. It is through understanding, empathy, and inclusive dialogue that we dismantle barriers and pave the way for progress. As we leave this school today, let the spirit of collaboration, innovation, and resilience accompany us. Our journey towards a resilient planet is not a sprint, but a marathon, a collective effort that requires sustained commitment and unwavering determination. Each one of us is a catalyst for change, and together we form a positive force for good. Let's carry the insights we've gained tonight into our communities, our workplaces, and also our homes. Let's be the champions of change, the architects of a resilient planet. The future is not a distant horizon, it is a sum of our present actions. Let us act with intention, with passion, and a shared vision for a world that thrives in harmony with nature. Thank you to each and every one of you here for your engagement, your commitment, and your shared dedication to a resilient and more sustainable future. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Toby, for encapsulating the essence of all that has been shared today and the profound symbolism inherent in this event. Your summary serves as a potent reflection on the significance of the discussions and the broader impact this gathering represents for our shared commitment to a sustainable and resilient future.
It is our proud privilege to express our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guests who have been an integral part of this event. First and foremost, let's extend our deepest appreciation to the GEMS Education School Support Center and corporate team, University of Bradford, esteemed members of the Italian delegation, and the staff and students of GEMS Legacy School. We thank you for gracing us with your esteemed presence, and we are profoundly grateful to you all for taking time to be with us and for sharing your valuable insights with the audience.
We extend our sincere gratitude to our keynote speakers, Mr. Angus McKay, Ms. Linda Cruz, and Mr. Toby Gregory, as well as the wonderful presenters from Italy. We are honored by your presence and inspired by your words as we embark on our journey toward building a sustainable future. Furthermore, a special word of thanks to Dubai Police, Tadweer, Dulsco, Diva, Siemens, Dubai Municipality, and all our hub schools for your constant support in partnering with us to create a sustainable society. Thank you, Mrs. Alexander, for your vision of launching this platform and the remarkable example that you have set for all of us. We are truly grateful for your impactful contributions. Last but not the least, I would like to thank our audience. I am extremely grateful to everyone who has joined us today. This event would not be a success without your support. Your presence has elevated the significance of this event, and we are truly honored to have hosted a gathering of such delightful individuals. Thank you.